So at this time, I'd like to introduce our speaker. I'm actually going to have him come up first and do a little on the side here. And these are always a little tricky because I usually let somebody else do it who knows, but I know Denny a little bit. Denny's not only a member of our club, but he's also a member of the St. Cloud Optimist Club. He's actually the president of is it the Morning Club?
Morning.
Morning Club.
Yeah, yeah.
And Denny's a career professional teacher and coach. He's been in the business for, 48 years, I think, 45 years. He's been in sales. He's been in just a number of different things. His latest book, which we have in the back, is that he'll be talking about today, Emotional Intelligence 101, How to Carve a Duck. And I purposely told this waitstaff not to clear so that we had that knife, so when we have to carve the duck a little later, you'll know how to do that, so you'll have that knife right there. But then he wanted us to know that he really likes being a teacher. He came back to teaching after a number of years. And one of his students said to him, Mr. Smith was always even-tempered. He was always mad. So anyhow, I saw Denny earlier this year in a performance. He's not only a great teacher, he's a comedian, he's a great coach, but he's also a great actor. And so seeing him on the stage is really fun. So I think without any further ado, before I screw this up, let's welcome Denny Smith.
Thanks, Denny.
Thank
Good
you,
to have
Terry.
you.
All right. How about that? All right. Thank you. Thank you. It is great to be here, and I do mean that sincerely. And, you know, Terry mentioned the theatrical thing, and of course, Jerry has been in theater a long time. But Terry himself, back in high school, is pretty talented. He played a clarinet, and one night on the way home from school, he hit a deer, and he got out, and the deer was writhing in pain, and he wanted to do something to put it out of his misery. He looked for a tire iron, couldn't find a tire iron, so he pulled out his clarinet, and it only took 2 songs, and the deer was gone. Our topic is Emotional Intelligence 101, How to Carve a Duck. And it's a strange title, but it really introduces a toolkit that we can use every day to make ourselves better. I think Dan mentioned, we're here, there's still room for improvement. We can always get better. We always want to grow. And that opportunity exists. And I am so grateful for the opportunity that I have to be involved in this organization. Because like I said, or I told the people at the table, when I first started, I was a teacher, and we had our morning group, and they're a lot of fun. You know, I think, boy, this is really great. Go have breakfast and have a few laughs, and then go off to school. And this time, I really started to look at the Optimist Creed and what it meant and what we can do and what our club does for the youth of our community. And it is just exciting to be a part of that. So if somebody were to ask me to sum up everything I talked about in one sentence, it could be summed up, it's the fact that you make the difference. You make a difference in the community, you make a difference in the Optimist Club, you make a difference in the world. Maybe that concept is best summed up with this little poem, The Task, to build a better world. But I said, how? The world is such a big place, it's so complicated now. And I so small and helpless, there is nothing I can do. But God in all his wisdom said, just build a better you. That's exciting when I think about the fact that all I have to do to make the world a better place to live is to build a better me. All you have to do to make the world a better place to live is to spend a little bit of time every day making you a better you. And we've alluded to it so many times today. The world strives for love and joy and peace and productivity, all of those good things, one person at a time. So that really makes you important in the scheme of things. I'm going to share with you a quote from one of my favorite speakers and authors, Dr. Wayne Dyer. You are a sum total of the choices that you make. And let me repeat that. You are a sum total of the choices that you make. Now, we need to put that into perspective. We can't control what goes on out there. We couldn't control the pandemic. We couldn't control a lot of these things, but we do get to control how we think and respond towards that. I cannot control the way another human being is going to treat me today. I may set some limits. I might tell them what I will and won't accept, but I really can't control that. I only control the way I think and respond towards that. And it's really the first tenet of the Optimist Creed is so easy to say. Promise myself to be so strong that nothing can disturb my peace of mind. Oh, that's easy to say, isn't it? Tough to do. And today we want to talk a little bit about how you can practice that. There's a story of a little girl that said to her dad, sometimes I get all of these negative thoughts, and sometimes I get all of these positive thoughts. Where do they come from? And he said, well, there's a story about the good wolf and the bad wolf. On one shoulder, you have the good wolf feeding you all of these positive things. On the other shoulder is the bad wolf feeding you all of these negative thoughts. And she said, well, which one is going to win? He said, all depends which one you feed. And if I could sell you on one idea, if somebody came up and said, look, I don't believe in that motivation stuff, it's a bunch of fluff, but I'll tell you, I'll take one idea, one suggestion, and use it for the next 30 days. What would you suggest? Would you please set aside some time every single day to do something to put positive thoughts into your mind? And really, that's what we do with the Creed. I suggest get up early in the morning, a little, quiet, spend some time reading something positive, some time for reflection. Because Charlie Tremendous Jones, this is a speaker from back in the 60s, many of you probably remember him, Don. He said that where you are from 5 years from now depends upon what you read. And you talked about the character development program. We're trying to talk our young people to put good, positive stuff into your mind every single day. So let's take a look at the business of emotional intelligence, okay? Number one, the capacity to be aware, control, and express one's emotions, and to handle interpersonal relationships judiciously and empathetically. Man, that's a mouthful. Pretty academic, but it's good. Here's the one that's a little easier to digest. Skill in perceiving, understanding, and managing emotions and feelings. Okay, a little easier. Got these off the internet. You can go to the internet. You can get 1,000 different definitions of anything. I like this one. It's the ability to keep yourself under control even when you don't want to. You like to punch somebody's lights out, but you say, hold it. I can't help the way I feel right now, but I can control the way I think and act. And that's something I picked up from my first exposure to this kind of presentation, Adventures in Attitudes. It's from Bob Conklin. What a great patience affirmation. I can't help the way I feel right now, but I can control the way I think and act. And I came up with this one, this kind of, I stumbled across it. Another definition of emotional intelligence is you are angry, impatient, or upset, but you are the only one that knows it. Okay? Now, I have to share a story of how I came up with this. And it was before Optimist meeting. And I was trying to get checked in actually for my pickleball, which is also in the same spot. And, technology problems, and she was having a hard time going through. I was a little bit about my background. I mean, this is not the greatest compliment I've ever received. But in an article in the Minneapolis Tribune dealing with something else, not coaching, I was described as a former fist-pounding basketball coach with anger issues. Not real flattering. Unfortunately, it was more than a little bit true. I grew up during the authoritarian era, the Vince Lombardis, you'll love Vince Lombardi, and the Bobby Knights and all of those, and they won championships. I thought, well, that's the way you do it. I could give a pep talk with the best of them, but when it came time to solving problems, it was my way or the highway. Hey, look, I'll talk, you listen. If I want your opinion, I'll tell you what it is, and then you can give it to me. And so I looked at that, and I thought, is there a different way? So I have a message to you folks based on middle age, and you determine what that is. If you are under middle age, don't wait until you're 77 years old to learn this stuff. Do it now. If you're over middle age, never too late to learn. Oh, I'll tell you, I have had more growth in the last 6 months to a year than ever before. I still have a ways to go, but the growth is exciting. Optimism is exciting. Patience, a kind tone of voice, keeping your cool under pressure. That becomes very, very exciting when you feel yourself improving, regardless of your age. I'd like to have every 25-year-old learn that at age 25, which is one of the reasons why I wrote the book. So the question is, in fact, let's do this. Yeah, we got a few minutes. I don't know that I have this on a slide here, but do this. In your small groups, maybe just with a person next to you, okay? 2 questions. Number 1, how important are attitudes? How important are attitudes? Okay, and that will take you about 20 seconds. So then spend the rest of the 2 minutes answering this. What can you do to keep yourself positive? What can you do to keep yourself positive? Okay, 2 minutes, ready, go. Okay, if I could if you could wrap that up, bring your attention back here, please. All right, let's take just a couple of comments. Number 1, how important are attitudes? I've been asking that question of people for 45 years. I get back answers like, very critical, attitudes are everything. So I think most of us subscribe to the fact that attitudes are important. And if that's the case, then question number 2 becomes ultimately important. What are some things you can do to keep yourself positive, okay? Yeah.
What you do is essentially you have to separate yourself. I'm just kind of saying, I'm using this cookie. Do I want the cookie? Of course I do. It's not a kid about it, right? But the idea is to have a higher internal kind of thing and say, look, you're not getting it.
Okay, you just took the next 10 minutes of the seminar, by the way. Okay, so now, you folks at the table, see if that cookie's still there when he leaves. That's going to be the test. Okay, one more. Any others quickly? Okay. Yeah. All right.
My choir director at Northwestern always talks about how instead of focusing on things that you have to do, think about the fact that you get to do those things. Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you. By the way, this probably comes as no surprise. Elijah did beat me out in the contest last year. Okay, so the question is, how do you carve a duck? And you might say, well, what does that have to do with anything? Well, my father-in-law, in his retirement, took up carving, and he got pretty good at it. He carved a little duck. And one of his favorite jokes was, how do you carve a duck? Well, you take a block of wood and shave away everything that doesn't look like a duck. Well, makes a lot of sense. So, if you want to develop more patience, the next time you feel yourself getting impatient, carve it away, and you're left with a patient demeanor. Tone of voice was, still is a little bit getting better. Just a real, well, it was a thorn in my side. Okay? So if you want a calm, approachable tone of voice, every time you find yourself starting to use a harsh tone of voice or wanting to get in that other zinger, carve it away. and you're left with a calm, approachable demeanor. It's simple, but it's just like the game of golf. What a simple game. You take a little ball and you hit it with a little stick and put it in a little cup, and if you do that in 4 strokes, you're a par golfer. But as you know, not very easy. And these skills are just that. So I'm going to ask you to do something now. I have to give credit to Dr. Wayne Dyer for this. Picked it up directly from him. Okay, don't do it yet. Just say to yourself, I am going to move my arm. Don't do it yet. I am going to move my arm. Now, everybody, move your arm. Okay? Here is a profound question. You said, I am going to move my arm. And then you moved your arm. Who is the I? And who is the my? We've located a command center in the brain, the part of the brain that sends the message from the brain to the muscle to move. We have never located the commander of the command center. That's your higher self, your higher awareness, your oneness with the universe. I don't care what you call it, but it is powerful, and that, quite frankly, is what gives us power as human beings, because we can think about what we think about. We can monitor what we're thinking and what we're doing, and if we have the desire and the will to do it, we can actually change. So here's our couple of ideas to share with you. Awareness precedes change. Before you can be aware of anything, you have to, before you can change anything, you have to be aware of it. And then you have the power as a human being to control what you think about and what you do. So be aware of your awareness. And I did say be aware of your awareness. So as you look at this great game of life that we're involved in every day, and we have today, we might as well enjoy it. There are 3 things you can count on. Water is wet, rocks are hard, and you will face challenges today. Hey, every day we're going to face them. That's where tenet number 1 comes in. All right, I'm going to face challenges. I might as well choose nothing can disturb my peace of mind. And here's another thing. I got this from one of my former ball players, just at the right time of the year. You can tell a lot about a person by the way he or she handles 3 things. A rainy day, lost luggage, and tangled Christmas tree lights. Okay. Now, I mentioned that I got this from one of my former ball players just at the right time, because it was time to take the tree down. Well, me and tangled Christmas tree lights did not get along very well. And my kids knew well and look, Dad's putting away the lights, just leave them alone. Well, I got this and I thought, okay, I am going to change the way I do this. So I stayed calm. I'm not saying I felt calm, but I did stay calm through consciousness. And it took me 15 minutes to untangle the lights. Took me 15 minutes the year before, too. But the difference was in my mental and emotional control of what I was doing. So quickly, this is the how-to session now, and these are somewhere on your notes there. 4 steps to higher awareness, because we said got to be aware of what you're doing. Okay. Number 1 is unconscious incompetence. You don't know how to do something, but you don't know that you don't know how to do it, or you don't see it as a weakness. See, I didn't see this authoritarian, in-your-face coaching style. I didn't see that as a weakness, because I could really give a good pep talk, It was my blind spot, okay? Number 2 is conscious incompetence. Now, you're looking at something and say, hey, I'm not very good at that, but I know I'm not very good at it, and that leads you to number 3, which is conscious competence. You're working on something, but you have to think about it every step of the way. And then there's number 4, which is unconscious competence. Okay, you do something so well that you don't even think about it. We learn to walk this way. Your little baby. You didn't really notice that people were walking. Then you started to know that they were, well, I'm sorry, what did I do here? Okay, then you began to notice that they were walking, you couldn't do it yet. And then you started to learn how to walk. You pulled yourself up on the coffee table and you walked around and they said, oh, you're so cute. And pretty soon you started to take a little step, but you ought to think about it every step of the way. You'd fall down, you'd get back up, which is just like the game of life. And then you got to be so good at it, you didn't even realize that. How many of you think about walking right now when you're walking? Point, you're always going between 3 and 4. I had, when I had my last knee surgery, I was in therapy, and the therapist said, you're limping. I said, no, I'm not. She said, yes, trust me, you're limping. So she said, here's what you have to do. Put your heel down, bring your weight forward, put your heel down. I had to think about, I had to reteach myself to walk without a limp. So we're always going between that. Quick example. One night I was on the phone with a customer service person, and I did not have a history of being very cordial with customer service people. I thought, hey, come on, I'm the customer here. You take care of me and you take care of me now. Well, I said, I want to change that because they don't deserve that for one thing, and I don't want to be that kind of a person. And selfishly, if I cooperate, I'm going to get better service, okay? And one night I was on, about 10, 15 minutes dealing something out. I got done. I really held my cool. I got done, and Pat said, you really were patient. And in 54 years, she has not accused me of being that way very many times. So this awareness really does work. Okay, so quickly, 4 steps to self-coaching. Number 1, make a commitment. If you really want to develop, by the way, if you want to practice, say tenet number 1, be so strong that nothing disturbs my peace of mind. Or in tenet number 10, to be too strong for anger. Okay, I'm getting angry, but I don't have to do that. Now, keep in mind, this is going to take 6 months to a year. This is not a one and done. This takes a lot of work. Number 2, no excuses. Eric Butterworth says this, there's a reason why you get upset. Because you're upsettable. Oh, no, you're not laying that on me. You heard what that person said. Of course I got upset. My kids do the dumbest thing. Well, who wouldn't get upset? Eric Butterworth does not let you off the hook. You get upset because you are upsettable. Number 3, monitor and adjust. This is where the self-talk comes in. All right? I'm feeling myself getting upset. I can adjust that. And number 4, this is illustrated by the old joke about the violin player that jumped into a taxi cab in New York, said, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? The guy said, practice, practice, practice. These are skills. And we don't always look upon them as skills, but that's exactly what they are. So but it does take a long time. So let's practice the Optimist Creed. I wanna share one more thing. It's not on the slide, but it's this. People say, well, I don't judge. Well, people that say that lie about other things too. Okay? We are constantly judging. A judgmental thought comes into your mind. Okay? So here's how we can deal with that judgmental thought. First of all, become aware of it, and then realize that I can change that anytime that I want. Okay? So you have this judgmental thought, recognize it. Congratulations, you're a member of the human race. But it is the second thought that counts. Keep that in mind. It's the second thought that counts. Let me illustrate that real quickly. So you're walking down the street, and you see a homeless person. Scraggly hair, old, long coat, not very kempt. I mean, just, really kind of scraggly. And our initial thought might be something, well, how are they ever going to get a job dressed like that, Stop and recognize that. That was a judgmental thought. It's the second thought that counts. So then you realize that I can handle this differently. So instead of just walking by, ignoring that person, you make eye contact and say hello. Well, how do you think that person feels? Because not many people make eye contact and give them a friendly hello, okay? And then see what happens, okay? He or she probably feels pretty good. Monitor what happens to you. See, you're the biggest beneficiary because you get this warm feeling that you recognize the miraculousness in another human being. And one quick story here, and then we'll wrap it up. Quick analogy. As you know, an electrical cord does not manufacture electricity. It merely conducts it. And as the electrical cord conducts electricity, it gets warm. Well, so it is with you and I. We might not be the originators of this divine thing we call love, but as we share that with other people, as we live that with other people, like that electrical cord, we get warm. So keep that in mind. All of the opportunities you have, and you are the beneficiary. You feel better than that other person. Oh, it works, folks. It really works. So I leave you just with one more thought, brought forth by Father Keller, who founded the Christopher organization. He said, "It is better to light a single candle than to curse the darkness." To illustrate the dynamics of what he was talking about, one night he was preaching at Notre Dame Stadium. He turned out all of the lights, and the stadium was dark. And then he lit one single candle. And the light from that candle pierced the darkness. And then he went around and he started to light the candles of the people around him. They started to light the candles of the people around them. And pretty soon that once darkened stadium was aglow with light simply because he lit one single candle. So keep that in mind. And I could tell story after story after story about that. But you know what I'm talking about. So I leave you today with this challenge for today and tomorrow and every single day of your life. Is there anybody happier because you passed their way? Is there someone who remembers that you spoke to them today? Is your day a day of progress? Is it well or sorely spent? Do you leave a trail of kindness or scars of discontent? Do you really make the most of this today that slips by fast? Do you help one single person of the many that you pass? Is there just one heart rejoicing over what you did or said? Does the one whose hopes were fading now with courage look ahead? And when the day is almost over and its toiling time is through, is there just one person then to say a kindly word of you? And as you close your eyes in slumber, do you think that God will say, "You deserve one more tomorrow for the good you did today"? Thank you so much. It has been just an absolute pleasure being here today. Thank you. Thank you.
Denny, thank you so
Well,
much. That was
thank
really
you.
great. That was really
Thank you.
nothing about ducks at all. I couldn't know how to get that. So,
Well,
in fact, I was going to show you because I hadn't had a chance to pick up your book, which you have in the back. Before I got started, I thought, well, I better try this duck carving thing so I know what I'm doing. So this is what I did. Last couple of weeks, got this carved up. Now, I'm not going to give this to you. This is my duck. But anyhow, this I just carved away the stuff that wasn't a duck. So that's how it works. Not at all. But I do have something for you, Denny, because you do refer to the Optimist Creed so many times, and it's so important that we do every day, and I want to continue to have you think about that. But I have a copy of the Optimist Creed for you, and thank you for being here. It was just really great. It really was great.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
So cool.